Good morning and welcome to a WFTO and Middle East conversation that seeks to explore the opportunities presented by the Africa Free Trade Area, not only to small enterprises, but also to encourage businesses that are currently exporting to the global north to see value in trading in Africa. On the panel with me today, I have Rose Ronoh and Dr. Francis Mangeni. I am Musa Mpofu from WFTO Africa and Middle East. Good morning. So I'd just like to give an opportunity to both Rose and Dr. Mangeni to introduce themselves. Tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, and your link to this Africa Free Trade area space. I'll start with the ladies. Hi, Rose.
Okay. Hi, Musa. Thank you so much. Ladies first, indeed.
Yes.
My name is Rose Ronoh, as you've rightly put it. I consider myself a champion for the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. But before that, I work with an organization called KenTrade Network Agency, which is a government agency based in Kenya that is responsible for implementing the trade facilitation agreement. I have also participated in the negotiations of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement as a subject matter for trade facilitation. And also I led in the coming up with the national implementation strategy for the agreement for Kenya. So I think that is my connection with the agreement. I'm very passionate about it. I do a lot of capacity creating awareness of what about and how they can be able to take advantage of it. So that is a bit about me. I have a PhD in business management from Moi University. I also have a master's in business administration from Moi University.
It's a great pleasure to have you here, Rose, and I look forward to a great conversation as we help all those who are tuning in understand better, what this trade space is about and what opportunities are available for them to take advantage of. We also want to welcome back Dr. Francis Mangeni. Good morning, Doc.
Yes, good morning, Musa. How are you today?
I'm
Right.
very cold. It's 3 degrees in Johannesburg.
Yes, as I was telling you, I'm also feeling cold. You can see I'm dressed in solidarity with you all who are feeling cold in the south. Yes. Yeah, my name is Francis Mangeni, as Musa has just told you, and I'm a senior fellow with the Nelson Mandela School of Public Governance, which is at the uh, University of Cape Town. I also am advisor on the African Continental Free Trade Area. So I have worked at the Secretariat. I have worked at COMESA, that's the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, where I served as Director for Trade, Customs, and Monetary Affairs for 11 years. And then I have worked with the African Union Commission, both at the headquarters in Addis Ababa as Regional Trade Policy Advisor, and at the embassy in Geneva as senior economist and diplomat. I think that's enough for now. I did many other things. I've had many lives. I'm like a cat, you know. Yeah. So yes, so we really need to get this African Continental Free Trade Area going. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity to transform Africa. So let us all own it and use it and shape it as we would like to see it. Thank you. Back to you, Musa.
Great stuff. Welcome to you both. I'm really looking forward to a very informative session as you guys assist us to navigate what this area is about. So in a book called Neocolonialism, The Last Stage of Imperialism, authored by Kwame Nkrumah, published in 1965, he writes, Africa is a paradox which illustrates and highlights neocolonialism. Her earth is rich, yet the products that come from above and beyond the soil continue to enrich not Africans, predominantly, but groups and individuals individuals who operate to Africa's impoverishment, close post. We fast forward to the early 2000s and the journey of Africans valuing Africa. I even say the decolonialization of trade within Africa gains traction. In a Africa Union meeting in 2013, Agenda 2063 themed "The Africa We Want" was put into action. And one of the flagship products of this Agenda 2063 was the implementation of the Free Trade Area, Africa Free Trade Area. Then we fast forward to January 2021, and we see the rollout or the beginning, the commencing of the trade space. So maybe for the purpose of those who did not attend or who have not seen our previous webinar, Dr. Francis, do you want to maybe give us a very layman's definition or understanding of what this free trade area is, the Africa Free Trade Area? What is it?
The African Continental Free Trade Area aims to establish a single trade and investment regime across the continent. That means where there is free movement of goods, people, services, investment. And we will be cooperating in the areas of intellectual property, in the areas of digital trade or e-commerce, and promoting women and young Africans in trade. So that's what the African Continental Free Trade Area aims to do. And to this end, we have got the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area, which has got the following protocols attached to that agreement. There's the protocol for trading goods, which regulates, of course, trading goods. The protocol for trading services, which regulates trading services. And there is the protocol on dispute settlement. So these four instruments, that's the agreement with the three protocols, are in force. We are already implementing them. And the trading on the African Continental Free Trade Area started, Musa, as you said, on the 1st of January this year, 2021. So we are able to trade now already. Now, going forward, we have started negotiations on a protocol for investment, a protocol for competition policy, a protocol for digital trade, a protocol for women and youth in trade. So this is the scheme of it. So now that trading has started, now that it's possible for anybody, SMEs, big companies, individuals, to export products across the borders into other countries in Africa, please utilize this opportunity. Can I also just mention, just to complete this, that we have got some links or URLs that people can use. First of all, we have got tradebarriers.africa, that is https /tradebarriers.africa. If you have any obstacles in trading on the African Continental Free Trade Area, you can report them using that interactive website. There's also an equivalent one for Eastern and Southern Africa called tradebarriers.org. That's www.tradebarriers.org. You can try it out. Now, for market intelligence, if you want to find trade and investment opportunities in other countries, even in your own country, you can use the Africa Trade Observatory, and the link for that is ato.africa. You can try it out. And then, of course, I encourage you to use online platforms. There's Sokoku, that is SOKOKWU.Africa, and many others in order to access the wider African market. So, Musa, maybe I can leave it at that, and I'll be happy to take questions as we move on. We are open for business.
Africa is definitely open for business. Rose, maybe if I can just find out from you, in your introduction, you mentioned that you are in a lot of platforms debunking what this AfCFTA is about. Do you want to maybe give us a few areas that look like gray areas, and just shed some light. Obviously, as the free trade area is being rolled out, there are many misconceptions that people think it's about this, and yet it's actually not. Many people think it's about this, and yet it's actually not. Do you want to put those out there, maybe to start off with, to let us know what it is not? What is it not about?
Okay. Thank you very much, Musa, for that question. First of all, I would just like to start by saying that there's still very low awareness about this particular agreement, especially to the key beneficiaries of this agreement, who are the public, the citizens of African countries who are party to this agreement. And I would understand any misconceptions that would be there, but I know there's also quite a bit that is being done. I am also an independent consultant with the International Trade Center, and we are coming up with online training and also physical workshops that will be held in all African countries to just be able to bring this knowledge and this information about what the CFTA is down to the beneficiary. At this moment, I would say a lot of knowledge about the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement is really with us as technocrats, as experts, as negotiators. And I'd just like maybe to mention one, or to say one of the misconceptions that maybe you would have about this agreement is that it would completely eliminate trade barriers between countries. The elimination of that is non-tariff barriers is very progressive. As a trader whom you would want to trade maybe between Kenya and Nigeria, you would still have to be able to comply to maybe sanitary and phytosanitary requirements in that particular country, technical requirements that they have, standards requirements that that particular country has within the African continent. So it doesn't mean that once you are party to this particular agreement, you will disregard the requirements of to export your products to. So I think we need to have that at the back of our mind, that that yes, we have come together as one single market, but we are going to work progressively to see if we can be able to harmonize our requirements. Because for you to export a particular commodity or import a particular commodity, there are certain requirements, certain documentations that are required. There are basic minimums that are required. And those are not going to be removed, but they are going to be simplified. We are going to work on mutual recognition agreements. We are going to work on harmonization of our standards. So I think that's one of the misconceptions that I would want also to debunk. Secondly, is that this agreement is not an overnight agreement in terms of realizing its benefits. It is a journey. It's a journey that we started on 1st of January 2021. There are going to be issues. There are going to be hurdles along the way. So if I know it has been touted that as is an agreement that will change Africa overnight. No, it is not going to change Africa overnight. It will require a lot of commitment from the different countries who are party to this agreement. It will require a lot of commitment from the private sector players. But the most important thing is that we have started. Prior to this particular agreement, the levels of intra-Africa trade had been estimated by UNCTAD to being around 16%. It is our hope and goal that by implementing this agreement, different countries implementing this agreement, that we are going to move that from the 16% that it currently is to around maybe 50%. And that will take quite a bit of effort from the individual countries who are parties to this agreement. And that brings me to the third misconception, the misconception that this agreement should be implemented by the Secretariat alone. You're aware that there's a secretariat that has been set up in Ghana, chaired by His Excellency Wamkele Mene. It is not only the responsibility of the Secretariat to implement this particular agreement. Countries who are party to this agreement must come up with national implementation strategies, which are targeted towards the areas that they would want to specialize with, the areas that they have comparative advantage, build up on the regional value chains, in order to be able to have this agreement as a success. So it is not only an agreement that you will leave to the Secretariat to push. We have the regional economic communities that are party to this agreement. We have the countries that are party to this agreement, the private sector associations. We have development partners who are assisting us to implement this agreement. So it is a collective effort. It is not an effort of one person. So I think I'll stop by there. I think we can be able to get much more from Dr. Mangeni.
Okay, but before we ask Dr. Mangeni, maybe if you could just give us some information, Rose, about the country-to-country rollout. Like, where can people find information about how they can get assistance from country to country? In South Africa, I know we have the Department of Trade and Industry, which Dr. Mangeni let us know it's now the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition. That Dr. Mangeni let us know that that's a website that South Africans could visit to get information. But from a country-to-country perspective, where do we get information? And you also mentioned physical training. What is this physical training about? Who is it targeting?
Okay. In terms of accessing country-to-country information, most of the places that you would find information, we have trade portals, information trade portals. A lot of countries in Africa have implemented these portals. For example, I know Kenya, we have the trade information portal. You just go online and click or search for information for trade portal for Kenya. You'll be able to get quite a bit of information. We also have the Chambers of Commerce, Association of Manufacturers, Kenya Private Sector Alliance. I'm talking from the Kenyan point of view, but associations, private sector associations who are heavily engaged in implementation of this particular agreement coming up, negotiation in Kenya. We involve them also in the negotiation. So you get this information not only from government entities, let's say the export promotion agencies, the Ministry of Trade, but you can also be able to get this information from private sector association about how you can be able to trade within this particular agreement. On the question about the physical trainings, ITC are one of the biggest supporters of this particular agreement, especially when it comes to SMEs and women. And they have rolled out a program with the assistance of AfCFTA to be able to provide training to SMEs on how to export within the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. There was an online component that has already been rolled out. So you can be able to go to ITC SME Academy. You can be able to enroll for that online training for free. But now they have realized that the training needs to be customized to the different countries. And what they have done is that with the sponsorship of AfCFTA, they're starting to do national workshops. And we are starting with Nigeria on 16th of August. And then we'll also have another training in Rwanda. And these are workshops that are going to be there to take SMEs through how to export within the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So it will cover what the agreement is. It will cover issues to do with trade finance, export documentation, logistical challenges. It will cover all these issues so that as you're interested in trading with this agreement, you have been equipped with the right information. For example, what Dr. Mangeni talked about, the Africa Trade Observatory, the ITC trade map, whereby you can be able to see the export potential of your country. And Rwanda and Nigeria are pilots for this particular training. But I am aware that AfCFTA has committed to sponsoring much more workshops within all African countries to be able to just demystify this agreement and also provide knowledge in the hands of SMEs to be able to take advantage of the agreement.
Great stuff, Rose. Just to find out, Doc.
Back to you, Musa. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. So in terms of basic participation.
Yes, I can hear you, Musa.
What can small businesses do? Like, what is the basic requirement for them to be able to participate within the African Continental Free Trade space? Dr. Mangeni, what are the basics? What do you need to have in place for you to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are available?
Yeah, so I would like, first of all, to commend Rose for what she has just said about what they are doing and for the energy and fire that she has. Yeah, so she has told us about trade portals. So I would encourage SMEs to be very digital savvy, to be able to do searches on the internet, look at the trade portals in their countries, as well as the trade portals of the countries into which they want to export. There will be a lot of information there. And then, of course, also to look, as you said, at the websites of their trade ministries, the chambers of commerce of their countries and the chambers of commerce of the country into which they are exporting. Also to look at the AfCFTA website and blogs. We have got blogs as well. And also to be regularly checking on the digital tools which Afro Champions, if you Google Afro Champions, it will come up. It is an association of companies across Africa, big and small. So they are coming up with digital platforms to help companies to trade across Africa, to get finance, to get information and networks that enable them to trade. So I would like to build on what Rose so brilliantly said in advising that we take very seriously what she has said, and also positively respond to her invitation or the information she gave about the possibility of training opportunities. And I hope that in addition to the physical training, maybe which will be in Rwanda and Nigeria or online, there will be an opportunity for having an inclusive, platform where everybody who is interested can also participate. I'm sure they'll have modules which can be used. Now, having said that, this is what an SME needs to actually start to trade. First point is that you should have an idea. And then, better still, if you have actually commercialized that idea, turned it into a product or a service which you now are ready to export. So, are you export ready, right? Do you have something that you can export? Then, and then, of course, the potential to scale it up to produce in adequate opportunities. So, on the supply side, you should be ready on the supply side, right? And then, secondly, to have an idea of where you want to export your product to. Where is your market? So that's where this idea of market intelligence comes in. I mentioned the Africa Trade Observatory. Rose told you about ITC tools. They have lots of them, trade map, investment map, and things like that. But also other organizations. For instance, if you wanted to export something to Mauritius, you go to Mauritius Trade Easy, and these are the trade portals that Rose and I are talking about. You will find there all the information about the requirements to export into Mauritius, about the market opportunities which are even there. So the second point then is to know where you want to export, and then to be informed about the size of the demand for your product, and also the requirements, the regulatory requirements which are in place in order for you to be able to export there. So this is just some exercise you can undertake using your laptop or your phone, in fact, your phone, and complete. Then the third step is now actually to now know the rules of the game, the rules of the game. What exactly do you need to do? What are the logistical arrangements? So, for instance, I have these colleagues that I work with called the FIATA, the Federation of International Freight Forwarders Association.
Okay.
They have chapters in every country. But there are also logistics companies all over the place, small and big, in every country, in every town, in fact. So you need also to know the ropes, to know the actual logistics, the actual mechanisms for moving a product from point A to point B. So you need to have that in place as well. So that's the third step. I think once you have these three steps in place, you are ready to export. Now, let me just wind up by telling you about the basic documents which you must have at hand. There will be other documents, like if it's an agricultural product, you must have to clear with your health authorities and ministries of agriculture, maybe. But here are the basic documents for every product. The first one is a certificate of origin. That is,
Yeah.
if you want to benefit from the preferential treatment under the African Continental Free Trade Area, meaning that you are going to pay no customs duties or lower customs duties. So the first document is the certificate of origin. This document is issued by the authorities in your country, in the country where you're exporting from. And it is a designated authority. It can vary from place to place, so countries designate different institutions to be issuing these certificates of origin. On the whole, though, it's the revenue authorities that issue these documents. In some cases, it's the chambers of commerce. Now, to get this document, you need to apply for it from these designated authorities. It can be a physical application, paperwork, but most organizations have now gone digital. You can apply online actually. Now,
Okay.
once you apply, these authorities will need to ascertain that the product you are producing or you are planning to export qualifies to be considered to be made in Africa. Made in Africa. The AfCFTA is for made in Africa. It's not for products from China or Russia. No, 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 it's made in Africa. In producing your product, you can import some inputs, but there should be local content. And on the whole, this local content should be about 40%, slightly more, slightly less. The regulatory authorities will tell you using a document called the Appendix on Rules of Origin, which is a large document, more than 6,000 tariff lines, which tells you for each product what the local content should be in order for it to qualify to be made in Africa. So once your authorities have certified or established that your product qualifies to be made in Africa, they will issue this document called a certificate of origin, right? Now, the second document you need is called a customs declaration.
Yep.
The customs declaration is simply a document which describes your product. What is its name? What is its value? The invoice value of that product, all those descriptions. It is a simple document, but it's also used for processing the transaction through the customs authorities. So you must have these two documents, and these are AfCFTA documents. Now, in addition to these two documents, of course, you must have the universal documents, as they are called, and there are about 6 of them. The bill of lading, things like that, depending on whether you are transporting by road or by air or by ship. Yeah, those are universal documents. It doesn't matter whether you are exporting to another African country under the AfCFTA or you're exporting to China or to Russia. These are universal documents. But these two, which I mentioned, you must have. So that's the fourth point, to be aware of the documents that you have. And then the last bit that I need to establish, to say, is that your document should be safe. If it's an agricultural product or a foodstuff, it should be fit for human consumption. All right?
Okay.
If it's a dangerous product, maybe you are exporting some chemical products, then they should also be safe. So you need to clear with the relevant regulatory authorities, depending on the product that you are exporting. So this is what I can say. And let me end by saying that it's not complicated. It's easy. It's doable. People are doing it every day. So don't get discouraged at all. People are doing it every day. And once you do the first consignment, the rest will be very easy. You can even qualify maybe to be an approved exporter or authorized economic exporter or economic operator, authorized economic operator. So once the authorities get to know you, they certify themselves that you are a credible business, small or big, it doesn't matter. You have all the documentation, all the licenses required. You will have it easy. You will be a trusted client. So I encourage you to go ahead. Now, I hope that hasn't taken too long, but it was an important question, and
It's
I needed
necessary information. It's
Yes,
necessary
yes,
information.
yes,
Yes.
yes. Back to you, Musa.
You mentioned last time, Doc, about a registration portal. I think that is available. Maybe if you could walk us through that again, like in terms of small businesses. Is there a space within your website or something like that where people can register to become traders within the Africa Free Trade space?
Yeah. So now, yes, I'm glad you have brought that up again, and let me say it maybe a little bit, maybe more clearly. To get a certificate of origin, this certificate of origin is issued by your authorities in your country. In
Okay.
South Africa, issued by not the secretariat, no, by your countries. So now, to get it, you apply to your designated authorities, to the
Okay.
South African revenue authorities, for instance, right?
Okay.
So that's where registration happens.
Oh.
Registration doesn't happen with the secretariat, no.
Okay.
Each
Okay.
country has got its own database of exporters, and they monitor the exporters to see those who are doing well, who are in terms of risk management, to deal with frauds and things like that. They try to
Yeah.
see who is a trusted client and things like that. So if you are well behaved, and you can even make it to that scheme called authorized economic operators. They call it different names. In Zambia, they call them accredited clients, but these are
Oh,
regular operators who have got a track record of compliance, who don't cheat, don't cut corners. Yes. And this can actually, for instance, if you are on this list, you can cross borders and then pay your taxes later. You can cross borders within 10 minutes or 1 minute, in fact. Just drive through, provided you are trusted. And then you can clear afterwards, the sports clearance afterwards. Yeah. Yeah, so that's where the registration is.
I
However,
definitely look, I definitely look forward to crossing borders in a minute. Like that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. We can have actually boom gates. There are these borders which they have a digital mechanism which can read your number plate, the number plate of the truck, all right, or whichever vehicle you are using, and then it opens automatically. It's not even manned by somebody. It just opens and you pass through. Yeah. It's possible to have these one-stop border posts which are digitized enough for you to be able just to drive through, provided you,
So,
of course, declare in advance. You need to declare or
yeah.
to put all your documents into the system
Okay.
in advance before you reach the gate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I would just like to bring in some of our members from the WFTO Africa and Middle East who have some questions, having watched the first webinar that we have. First, I'm going to bring in Hisham from Egypt. Welcome, Hisham. Please feel free to ask your question to either Rose or Francis. Hi,
Thank you
Hisham.
so much, Musa. Hi, everyone. Good morning. My question is that I know that the COMESA has been there for so many years. I believe it has been there for around 27 years, since 1994. But till now, we're in 2021, and I see that the figures of the intertrade is very low. So, what is causing this? What is causing these low figures uh, in trade between African countries, and how can we solve this? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Hisham. Can I maybe ask Rose? Rose, do you want to answer that maybe? I'm not sure if Rose can hear us. Rose, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Musa?
Oh, goodness. Okay, maybe we could ask you, Dr. Mangeni, to tackle that question while we try and get Rose back on, because I think we have a problem with the connection there.
Yes, I recall Rose was talking about some of the misconceptions when you asked her, right, about the African Continental Free Trade Area. So now let's talk about levels of intra-Africa trade. In the year 2010, up to 2012, when the program for the African Continental Free Trade Area started off, and it started off as a discussion on how to boost intra-Africa trade or increase intra-Africa trade. Levels of intra-Africa trade at that time were estimated at 10% only. 10% only. So we were exporting, we're exporting 90% of our products outside of Africa, right? And
Okay.
the analysis at that time, in making the case for the African Continental Free Trade Area, was that if we established the African Continental Free Trade Area, eliminated customs duties, and also removed non-tariff barriers, and put in a bit of trade facilitation, intra-Africa trade would double by the year 2022. So this discussion was taking place in 2012. So looking forward to 2022, it was estimated that intra-Africa trade actually would double with events. Right. So that's how the case was made. Now, fast forward to 2020 or even 2021, but 2020 before COVID, levels of intra-Africa trade had actually risen to 18%, according to the Economic Commission for Africa, to 17% or 16%, according to the African Development Bank. These organizations come up with different figures. But the point is, the trajectory has been positive. Intra-Africa trade has been increasing. Some actually estimates put it at 21%, but the official estimate now is 17 or 18%. Those are the official figures now. So I hope we can get that clear. Now, in that figure of 17% or 20 or 18%, there is also actually some misconception, huge misconception.
Okay.
I would encourage our participants to Google an article by a very good friend of mine called Andrew Mold. Mold is Mold. Andrew as in Andrew, Andrew, on the misconceptions on intra-Africa trade, where he tries to show that actually this figure is very misleading. For some countries, such as Eswatini, they export up to 80% of their products to other African countries. So if you looked at these figures from an individual country perspective, the actually picture changes completely. And then other countries, all the way from 80, 70 up to 30%, they export to other African countries. What normally brings down the figure, makes it low, is that we have got big countries which export oil, such as Angola, to China. So when you factor in that these big countries are exporting almost all their their biggest component of exports goes outside Africa, and it could be oil or oil products, then that drags the figure down. That also applies to Nigeria, as you know very well. But also South Africa trades a lot undergo with the US. They produce these posh cars, BMWs, Mercedes-Benzes, which you export undergo. Yes. So this is what distorts the figure. And in addition to that, there's a lot of informal cross-border trade. In some countries, such as Uganda, SADC area, this informal cross-border trade is quite significant. It can actually rise to 40% of total trade. But this is not factored in the computations of intra-Africa trade. And then thirdly, these are the historical relations where, for instance, you have got countries in North Africa which have got these Euro-made agreements. So Egypt's a huge economy, but it exports a lot, to Europe and other non-African countries. Yeah, maybe Mauritius as well exports a lot to Europe under the sugar protocols and things like that. So the point I'm making is that even this figure of 18%, which is slightly higher than what it was in 2010 or 2012, it has got some misconceptions in it. It actually distorts the actual correct, accurate measurement of intra-Africa trade on the ground, in that there are countries which export far more to Africa than to the rest of the world. Right. So now, having a hope to disabuse ourselves of this, feeling that we are not trading among ourselves, I hope having established that we are actually trading among ourselves, I would like now to say that we can do even better. We can even do better. We can boost this intra-Africa trade. And again, going back still to the justification for the AfCFTA, which was put forward way back in 2012, if we eliminated customs duties, if we eliminated trade barriers, if we facilitated the trade, for instance, we're just talking about digitalization, about advanced declaration, online processing of consignments, all the things, intra-Africa trade would grow. Let me just finish by saying that the African Continental Free Trade Area is about trade. Yes, but it's also about trade within the overall context of what's called developmental integration.
Okay.
So actually the name free trade might be misleading because there are also equally important programs for industrialization. We want to produce regional value chains. We want to trade among ourselves in inputs, SMEs, joining regional value chains, whether it's for automobiles, whether it's for textiles, whether it's for agro-based industrialization. So industrialization regional value chains is extremely important. And then thirdly, so trade, industrialization. So thirdly, infrastructure. We need to build surface transportation. That means roads, railways, waterways, marine transport. Air transport is extremely important because Africa is huge. Africa is 30 million square kilometers. We can fit China, India, the US, all of those into Africa. We are really big. So we need a single African airspace to travel more quickly, especially if we are trading perishable goods, but also to be more efficient. And then infrastructure also includes not just surface and air transport, it also includes energy. We need energy, clean energy, renewables, in order to be competitive. And then we need information and communications technologies because we're in the fourth industrial revolution. You can't survive now, you can't operate now unless you are up to speed with digitalization, with digital tools. That is the developmental approach to regional economic integration, which forms the context within which we are doing the African continental free trade area. And of course, it must be inclusive. It must benefit everybody, not just big companies. So SMEs, women, young Africans must be on board. We need to give them financing facilities, which are available from various initiatives from the Afrexim Bank, from the African Development Bank, but also from domestic banks, which can help
Doc.
us.
I think
Yes.
we will navigate the issues of opportunities available, financial, non-financial, and market access later on in the conversation. But before I ask Nicholas to ask his question, I'd like to ask those people watching on Facebook, on YouTube, to send us your comments, send us questions. If there's anything you need addressed, anything debunked, anything you need to be made clearer about this process, please feel free to drop us a question. We will read your question live, and hopefully either Rose or Doc would be able to address that question for you. So over to you, to Nicholas, to ask your question.
Okay, so thank you, Musa, and thank the resource persons for the great work so far done. I think that part of my questions have been already responded, but let me come with it. I was asking about the need, what stage of the implementation are we now? And how do we as SMEs, follow the process and take advantage of whatever state that we might be now?
Okay, I think that was a quick recap. Can Rose hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so did you hear my question?
Kindly repeat the question.
Yeah, so my question is, at what stage are we in the implementation process as far as the compact is concerned? And how do we as SMEs, are able to monitor and fit into the various phases as we move along?
Okay, thank you very much, Nicholas, for that question. The implementation of the agreement was phased into two. And that is phase one of the agreement, which is negotiations on trade in goods and negotiations on trade in services, which are coming to a tail end. And then we have the second phase of the negotiation, which has just started, which Dr. Mangeni alluded to, which is negotiations on competition, negotiation on e-commerce, the protocol on women, and also intellectual property rights. In terms of how SMEs can be able to come in, I think Dr. Mangeni has been very, very clear in terms of the documents that are required, getting yourself export ready, having a product that can be able to appeal to the tastes of maybe the country that you have targeted, also having the right quantities in place, having that export mindset, and just being ready also in terms of finances, trade finance, because when you look at going into the international market, it's not the same as trading within your domestic market. There are quite a number of documentation required, financial commitment that is required. So how I would advise you as an SME to get ready is, first of all, get as much information as possible. And we had talked about the online resources that are there. There are trainings that are currently ongoing by ITC. We also have the associations that, the chambers of commerce, the private sector associations are also doing a lot of capacity building on this particular area. And also you can follow up in terms of how negotiations are unfolding, because I know a lot of countries are calling upon private sector associations to be part of the negotiations. So I think that's what you could do as an SME, as we are watching the negotiations unfolding, and you can be part of it. So at this point, I would say really a lot of preparation, because when you look at the East Africa community, whereby we are a customs union, we are still not able to implement the agreement because one of our counterparts, that is Tanzania, has not yet ratified the agreement. So, and this is the case, I think, also in SADC. So at the moment, I would say that there's a lot of preparation ongoing, and I believe maybe towards the end of the year, we are going to see the ability for everybody to participate in this. I think maybe Dr. Mangeni can add on what I have said.
Yes, Rose. Thank you so much. I'm happy to add on, Musa, if you don't mind. Yeah. Now, just beginning with where Rose left it off, for the East African community, which is a customs union, and for SACU, the Southern African Customs Union, which is also a customs union, and ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, what has been agreed is that if one of the countries in the customs union or two have not ratified the agreement, the customs union can discuss it among themselves and find a solution. So, for instance, what has happened in SACU is that they discussed, and Botswana agreed that the rest of the other SACU countries can go ahead and implement the AfCFTA, even if Botswana is still finalizing its internal preparations. So, in other words, one country not having ratified the agreement and is in a customs union should not stop the others who want to start implementing. But it has to be discussed internally. So maybe the EAC can also have this discussion, just like SACU did. Now, the question, as I understood it, was about the status. Where do things stand now? So, in addition to what Rose so helpfully provided, if you don't mind, I just want to tell you about the state of play. The state of play. Where have things reached? So now we have got 54 countries which have signed the African Continental Free Trade Area. That means all the African countries, there are 55 African countries, except Eritrea. Just one country hasn't signed yet. And then we have got 40 countries which have ratified now. These include South Africa, where you are. They also include Kenya. They include Egypt. They include Nigeria. All the big countries have actually ratified. Congo, they have ratified. So there are only a few more left who should also equally come on board and ratify. So the Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. continues to engage these countries proactively. He goes to visit presidents from time to time to get to listen to them, to hear what the state of their preparations are, and how maybe he can come in if needed at all, or get other partners on board to help with the ratification process. So we have got 40 ratifications. Then you remember Rose mentioned about the need for national strategies for implementing the agreement. So the Economic Commission for Africa has been helping countries to prepare their national strategies, and the information we have is that they have 40 countries have actually prepared national strategies. Now, regarding negotiations on trading services, we have got 33 services offers. You remember, Musa and colleagues, last time I mentioned that for trading services, we are beginning with 5 sectors. There are 12 services sectors, but we are beginning with 5. Then we shall move into the others. And the 5 that are going to be opened up or liberalized are communications. You remember we said how communication is important. Transport is very important. Financial services, both banking and insurance, are extremely important. business services, including professional services, the ability for professionals to move around and supply their services. And then tourism, because tourism is a huge mainstay for our economies. So we have got 33 offers, which we are finalizing negotiations on. And then remember also that I mentioned that we have got these links to tools to help with the trade. I mentioned tradebarriers.africa, tradebarriers.org, and ATO.Africa. Let me just mention one last one, which I mentioned last time, but I can mention it now again, given that we are in the COVID pandemic, and that's the Africa Medical Supplies Platform, AMSP.Africa. So there's a lot of trade in pharmaceutical products, ranging all the way from vaccines to diagnostics to therapeutics and other medical products on this platform. So please use all these digital forms. So this is where we are. This is where things stand. And remember, I said trading started on the 1st of January 2021. In trading goods, you can already export things on the continent. Now, I believe that the colleague who is asking is actually from Ghana. Now, when I was in Ghana, there's a company there called Casaprica, and I'm sure you know this very well. Is your name Nicholas again? Yes. Casaprica has been exporting under the African Continental Free Trade Area. It processed an AfCFTA certificate of origin from the Ghana Revenue Authority, and it got the customs documents to actually export as a consignment, which the president, His Excellency Nana, actually witnessed. There was a ceremony on the 4th of January this year to actually witness and flag off and officially launch the commencement of trading under the AfCFTA. So things are happening, trading is happening. Now, if you want to monitor what's going on, you asked about monitoring. This is where now Musa comes in through platforms like these, where you can organize events to get briefs on what is happening. But you can also actively follow the blogs on the AfCFTA. Like for instance, if you check AfCFTA.blog, you will get a lot of information on the AfCFTA. Check the AfCFTA website. Check with the KenTrade network. Rose told us that she's very active. Actually, all over Africa, they have their own networks. So check those networks as well. You'll get information. But above all, ask your government officials. This is their role. They are accountable to the people. So you can ask them. They can also give you briefs on what they are planning to do, on where things stand. They should be able to come and give you a brief on these matters. Back to you, Musa. Thank you so much.
Okay, in our conversation, I know we have slowly navigated the financial, touched slightly on financial and non-financial opportunities that are available for entrepreneurs, small businesses to have access to. But I want to talk about something that is that every entrepreneur wants to know about: market access. I read on your platforms that there is an intra-Africa trade fair that happens. And this year it's happening in November in Durban. Do you want to talk about that briefly? I was going to ask Rose, but it looks like she's dropped, Doc. Maybe you could tell us about that. If you could tell us about that trade fair, who does it target? Who stands to benefit? Just give us a bit of the key information, especially for, I think I'm more interested in those who are currently exporting in the to the global north to find benefit in exporting locally as well. Is this a space that they could maybe exhibit their products? Who are the key buyers who walk through that trade fair? And also, are there any other supporting activities around the trade fair? Just to repeat, it's on the 15th, from the 15th to the 21st of November in Durban, for those who are interested to take part in that. Over to you, Doc.
Yes, thank you so much, Musa, my sister. In fact, now, can I now do a commercial here? Please, everybody, register. Go to the website of the Inter-Africa Trade Fair 2021, which will be there in Durban, and register to participate, to go and showcase your products. Go and showcase what you have. please, however small you are, however big you are, please register. These are huge events, and there are lots of people who come to them seeking to buy or place orders or get to know potential suppliers whom they can be sourcing products from. So please
Can I
come.
ask, Doc, are the
Yeah.
buyers mainly African, or are we opening it up to buyers even from outside Africa?
Yes, it is international. So whereas this is supposed to promote intra-Africa trade, there is no harm at all in opening it up to the rest of the world. Remember that for us to produce products, in many cases, we also need inputs from the rest of the world. So we buy inputs from the rest of the world. Though of course the final product must have local content, but we buy inputs from the rest of the world. But also, while we are looking at boosting intra-Africa trade, we are not closing out the rest of the world. We shall
Yeah.
continue to, yes, to sell to the rest of the world and to import from the rest of the world as well. But otherwise, you're perfectly correct. This is meant to promote intra-Africa trade, to create awareness about what we have on the continent. Actually, one of the reasons why we trade maybe in some cases with the rest of the world more than ourselves is because we don't know what we have. There's empirical evidence. There are surveys which have been done asking enterprises, why did you import this from Russia or from China? People import wheat from Russia when it's available next door, and the enterprises were responding that they didn't know, they didn't have
Yeah.
market information. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these trade fairs are meant to provide this awareness, to provide this market information. You remember at our last webinar where my namesake, Mangeni, said that actually he was organizing a local trade fair, I think, for his
Yes.
borough as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and he explained that this was meant to showcase what's available, to create awareness. Yes,
Yeah.
to create market opportunities. So now, just as it is important at a lower level, it's also important at the continental level. So this will be the second one. The first one was
Okay.
held in Cairo, and it was big and very successful. Yes. So
Okay.
this is going to be the second one. We were supposed to have it last year, actually, in Rwanda, but we postponed it because of COVID-19.
Okay.
Yeah, but thankfully, we are now having it in South Africa, hosted by the government of South Africa. And it is co-organized with support from the Afrexim Bank, of course, the African Union Commission, and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat as well. So, very important issue, Musa. Please let us encourage everybody to register and go and showcase what they have. We are also supposed to have digital equivalents, but
Okay.
this will be a physical one where you can go and actually show what you have as well. There will be COVID protocols in place as well.
Okay. Just two things on that. I firstly want to find out, is it a multi-sectoral? Is it like open to everyone and anyone, or is it focusing on particular sectors for entrepreneurs in Africa? And then secondly, there are some SMEs who would like to participate but don't have the funding to be able to participate. Is there funding available for entrepreneurs to be able to get access to that funding for them to be able to take part in the trade fair?
Yeah, so it's yes to both those questions. Bring whatever you have. Come one, come all. So there is no censorship. There's no saying you can only bring this product. No, bring
Okay.
everything that you have. Actually, the idea is to know what is there, right? So
Okay.
surprise us, surprise everybody. Come and boast about what you have. And the idea of innovation is that you can come up with a new product or a new service. You can even create a niche market for yourself, for your niche products. So there is nothing out of bounds. There's nothing which should be left out. Whatever you have come, and the newer, the better. But as you said, Musa, yourself, please have the export readiness. Rose also mentioned this. Have the capacity to produce. There have been cases where someone comes up with a sample. It's very impressive. There is an order made, and they can't satisfy the supply.
Yeah.
So please, if you are too small, do have clusters, form cooperative societies, so that you can bulk up, you can agglomerate, so that you have got that potential to supply more, and so that actually support services can be extended to you more efficiently by governments and other trade support institutions. So form clusters, form cooperatives, work together so that you can have adequate quantities. So there's no product left out or off bounds, whether it's a good or a service or whatever it is, a process. And then for funding, now I cannot on this webinar promise you funds. However, there
We
is
want
funding.
money.
I don't want to. I don't want you to say where is the money you promised us. Yes, so I cannot. But there are funding opportunities. That website, the website which I'm requesting colleagues to go to, has got all the information about financing opportunities, about the cost, and how you can be facilitated. Please actively use this website and take up all the offers, all the opportunities which are on board. There's always support for SMEs, ways to make sure that we facilitate those who would like to come on board. Yeah. So I can see there is a URL which coming across the screen. Maybe colleagues can check it out as well. Yeah. All right. Back to you, Musa. Maybe Rose is back on to answer the question she was supposed to answer. Thank you.
All right, Rose, it's great to have you back. I know you're having challenges with your connection.
Yes.
But I just wanted to find out, in terms of supporting events, if you know about the trade fair, are there any supporting events that maybe give entrepreneurs more information about the free trade space? Are there any summits? Like, do you have any conference that's supporting this event or something like that? Do you know?
Well, apart from the event going down in South Africa, I think that is what I am aware of at the moment. But I know there are quite a number of activities planned out, especially by development partners. Maybe I can just speak about an event that is planned by GIZ, and it's going to be sometime in September. And it's going to be a discussion on women and the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, how women can be able to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So it's an event that I will be moderating, a 2-day event, whereby we are going to have discussions on gender and how even proposals on what should be included in the protocol for women that has been proposed at the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So what I can say is that there's quite a lot happening right now, and people should be able to watch out in terms of these websites for the agreement. For the secretariat. And then also myself, I post everything CFTA on my LinkedIn. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, Rose Ronoh, anything you would want to know about the CFTA, you will be able to find events, articles, what people are saying, where we are. So I'm one of those bloggers who really specializes on the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So I think that's what I have to say for now.
But while we have you here, Rose, I think this would be a gem to us, for you maybe to preempt, if that's possible, for us, what opportunities are available for women in regards to the free trade area? What can women take advantage of? Also, what can the youth take advantage of? Could you give us some information of that? What opportunities are available to them?
Well, I'll just start by giving you some statistics that you may be very surprised about, that 75% of cross-border traders in Africa are women. And that already, you can already see that the informal trade that Dr. Mangeni talked about is being carried out mostly by women. So in terms of what opportunities are there for women, the opportunities that are there for men are equally there for women. And what just needs to happen is that we now need to scale up ourselves as women. A lot of this informal trade, you will find that a woman maybe at the border of Busia is doing the same thing day in, day out. They are not growing in terms of their business. They are not registering their businesses. They are not getting sufficient funding for their businesses. They don't have information in terms of markets. Their products are not so refined or packaged in a way that they can be able to even export to larger markets than what they are doing at the moment. So what I can say is that the opportunities are limitless. And luckily, we are in the age of women. I don't know if Dr. Maini, you should not feel so bad. We are in the age of promoting women, and you're seeing that everybody wants to support a woman, and that is why you're seeing the protocol of women is there. You're seeing right now most of the trade organizations, international organizations, are headed by women. So there is a push out there to support women and also to support youth. And in terms of youth, I think we are the youngest, the continent with the youngest people, people between under the age of 25. And those are the people who can be able to implement this agreement. This agreement is for them. Some of us, I think we would say that these are our legacies. We are putting in place things or putting in place this agreement for the benefit of those who are coming behind us. So there are a lot of opportunities in trading goods, whereby you can be able to come up with a product, refine it, and see which market. And I also want to talk about value addition. A lot of what we export is really in its raw format. If you can be able to add value as a young person to that product that you have and export it, that's an opportunity that you will have created, not only for yourself, but also you will have created employment for those who are going to be involved in that particular project. In terms of also trade in services, the 5 priority sectors that Dr. Mangeni talked about, there are going to be opportunities for you to work. There's a lot of unemployment in the continent. So you no longer have to just consider work within your, with your country. You can look for work outside, within the African continent. You can offer your services, outside the African continent. For youth, technology, we want to utilize technology to be able to speed up this agreement. We do. Well, if you look at the European Union, it took them quite some time to get to where they are. But I believe that we do not have to take that time as as Africa to be able to get to where the European Union has gotten. We can be able to use technology to leverage and be able to even speed up in terms of our development. So I think that is what I can say for now, Musa.
Okay, great stuff. I just want to put it out there. I mean, there's a lot of negotiations about the different sectors. I want to find out, is there space within the continental free trade? Doc, I can see you're smiling. I think you know what I'm going to ask. Is there space within the free trade space for us to talk about fair trade, for there to be negotiations on fair trade, on us implementing fair trade within the policies and protocols of the rollout of the Africa Continental Free Trade? I don't know who wants to take it. I don't want to pick on anyone.
I think Doc can go first, and then I'll make a comment later.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Let me go first, and then Ronoh will come in. But let me start by first of all assuring Ronoh and you, Musa, and all participants that this discussion on gender empowerment or gender equality, whatever you want to call it, has now leaves nobody in doubt, whether it's a man or a woman, that we must absolutely prioritize it. It's an existential issue.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have women on board, and yet women constitute 51% of the global population, all right? Slightly more, slightly lower in some countries, then you will never achieve any goal that you are trying to achieve. If you are trying to achieve poverty eradication and you leave out 51% of the population, you will never achieve that goal, logically, of course, because you have left out the bulk of the population. If you are trying to achieve universal education, if you are trying to achieve universal health, whatever it is you are trying to achieve. So it would be self-defeating. It would actually be nonsensical to leave out women when you claim to be pursuing some policy objective. So that's the first point to make. Second point to make is that it's a matter of equity, of justice.
Yeah.
Just like racism is wrong, you cannot now identify a group of people, and women, for instance, and then you discriminate against them. You deny them opportunities, or you turn a blind eye to the problems that they're having. So it's a matter of equity. It's a matter of equity. And then, as a matter of history, we have been over the long haul of history, trying to improve the living conditions of humankind, trying to become more civilized, trying to become a better species for our own survival, for evolutionary purposes, right? for self-preservation as a species, we need to work together. What we have learned is that we need to work together as a species in solidarity. So then, for historical reasons as well, we need to make sure that gender equality is prioritized. But one doesn't need to actually make all these arguments because each one of us has a mother. I'm not aware of anybody who didn't come from a mother, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
Each one of us, you know, has maybe a sister or an auntie or something like that. Yeah, it's just it doesn't. It's actually embarrassing that one needs to justify, you know, why we need to prioritize women. It is quite embarrassing, honestly. It should be, and of course, a given. Yeah. Now, so I assure you, I'm always happy to see women, you know, come out, you know, forcefully and assert their rights. And of course, there are men also who must come forward and help to make sure that humankind is a better place for all. It is global citizens, so to speak, all citizens. Now, whether there is space for fair trade, again, this is a matter of fairness. Now, the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, from day one, in his vision, he has underscored that the AfCFTA must be inclusive. And he has said that this for him means that women must be on board and must benefit from the African Continental Free Trade Area. Actually, you know, the momentum has now reached where we are beginning negotiations on a protocol on women in trade, right? Secondly, to be inclusive, he has said young Africans, as he likes to call them, he normally doesn't call them youth, he calls them young Africans, must benefit. And for various reasons. Again, it just makes common sense. It's just common sense. The median age in Africa is 19.7 years, the youngest in the world. In India, I think it is 28 years. In China, 38 years. It's much higher in developed countries. All right. And then, so that's the median age. Then more than 60% of the population of Africa are young Africans, are youth, really. 60%. That's an overwhelming majority of
More than
Africans.
half.
Yes, more than half, yes, you see. And then the African Continental Free Trade Area also must be digital. You know, we must prioritize science diplomacy. We must prioritize innovation because we're in the fourth industrial revolution. Now, if you are talking about these things, then youth represent new ideas and energy, right? So you must prioritize youth as well. Now, the rural population, the rural majorities. You know, most of the African population is actually rural. So you must reach out to the rural area. Of course, there are also the urban poor. So that's also part of equity. And then industrialization, which the Secretary General also talks about, and all heads of state and government and leaders talk about, that we need industrialization in order to achieve socioeconomic transformation. This means you need regional value chains. Now, all these considerations add up to the fact that you need equity for the SMEs, for the small producers, whether they are young Africans, whether they are women, whether they are in the rural areas, or whether they are urban poor. So you need equity for them. They must benefit from the African Continental Free Trade Area through the incomes they get, through the jobs that are created for them. Now, without even mentioning the word fair and trade in everything I have said, I'm sure it's obvious that we are talking about fair trade. Yes. Yeah. So whether you're talking about small scale traders agglomerating or forming cooperatives or clusters in order to organize themselves better, to bulk up, but also to receive services that governments or trade support institutions can provide, you are really talking about fair trade so that they can carry out advocacy for themselves. If you're talking about regional value chains, you want the big companies to SMEs to plug into big companies and to get decent returns. Yeah. Now, let me just finish by saying that there are these figures which keep floating around. For instance, the World Bank says that we can lift 30 million Africans out of extreme poverty by the year 2035 if we implement the African Continental Free Trade Area, and the 68 million out of moderate poverty. Those are people living on less than $5 out of moderate poverty, it's called. Now, how do you remove people out of poverty? It's by increasing their incomes. It's by creating decent jobs for them. All this speaks to fair trade. Right?
Yeah.
So now, I would like to say that if you look at the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area, it talks to equity in the benefits from the African Continental Free Trade Area, inclusiveness for everybody. So I would like to suggest to you, Musa and the colleagues, that please own the African Continental Free Trade Area, be proactive, and there is space for you. And you have a very important contribution to make in achieving the goals and objectives of the African Continental Free Trade Area for socioeconomic transformation, improving living standards, and inclusiveness across the continent. Back to you, Mr.
Believe
Or
me when
back
I
to you.
say, believe me when I say, Doc, we definitely want to be part of this and are not trying to close ourselves out in any way, shape, or form. Rose, you were going to comment on the negotiations on fair trade?
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment, and I think the comment is back to you as the World Fair Trade Organization. I think you can be able to complement what is happening at the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement by also awareness creation on the consumers of these products, because as a normal consumer, if I go to the supermarket, I would not know a product that has been produced ethically and that has not been produced ethically. So I think advocacy programs to be able to sensitize consumers, you will not then have a push from the consumers to ensure that holding accountable the producers in terms of their ethicalness of what they produce. And I think I am aware of the cocoa industry, where I think you've done quite a bit, whereby I think we have the ethical chocolate now. And now I'm very conscious when I go to a supermarket if I was to pick chocolate, I would want to read and see, is this chocolate produced ethically or not? So I think back to you in terms of what you need to do to assist us to be able to make this a reality.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, I will say we are definitely making moves to make our presence more felt within the African landscape, and to get more producers to be more vocal about their ethical production processes. Mostly they put these stamps or labels on products that go to the global north because the people in the global north have an appreciation for ethical trade and stuff like that. But as the process and the as it becomes more prominent in Africa, we are getting our producers to own it a bit more, to feel like, yes, definitely they can put that label on products that they are distributing within Africa. And then sensitizing the consumers as well, so that consumers know that they have to actively choose ethically produced products and the impact that has on themselves, on the communities around them, on the environment, and all of that. We've been talking for an hour, 20 minutes now. I'm really thankful to both of you, Dr. Mangeni and Rose Ronoh, for taking the time to come and give us more information about the CFTA and letting us know what's available, the opportunities that are there, the market access, the digital platforms that people need to be looking out for. Please don't get tired of us. We will call upon you again if there's a need for us to continue to break it down. Because like you said in the beginning, Rose, this information currently is being held by trade experts, people who are like you and me and Doc, but it's not really with the entrepreneurs. So we really need to continue to punt this information, continue to put it out there so that people have access to it, people know what is available for them, people can then take advantage of those opportunities. I really hope that a number of entrepreneurs and small businesses will go and register for the fair that's taking place in Durban. I also plan to be there. I'm not sure whether I will be, based on COVID, but I plan to be there. But yeah, that we can see what is available in Africa, what are we making, what are we excelling in, and then be able to trade within ourselves, within Africa as a continent. So again, thank you to you both. Again, and also thank you to those who've been watching, those who've been with us from the conversation. We really value your input. So if you drop your comments on Facebook or on YouTube, we will do our best to address your questions. And in instances where we can't address those questions, we will refer those questions to both Rose and Doc to try and get answers for you to be better equipped about the free trade area. So from me, Musa Mpofu from World Fair Trade Organization, Africa and Middle East, it's a good morning and I wish you all a very good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
What can you, we do? Unite to change, empower, lead, and innovate. Because fair trade matters.